Hello, my name is Virgil, and this is Literally Books. Today, I want to talk about Manly Wade Wellman's story, The Black Drama, originally written by under the pseudonym of Gans T. Field in June of 1938, and in July of 1938 and August of 1938, it appeared in Weird Tales magazine. It is the second entry in the Judge Pursuivant series, a really great novella that Wellman wrote. I want to talk about this story. I had read the first entry, The Hairy Ones Shall Dance, and that story is a very actiony, pulpy story to me, right? Definitely a Weird Tales story, right? As I said, it has an interesting and unusual slant, but absolutely pulpy and actiony and fast-paced. And this story is actually kind of different. It doesn't feature any of the characters of the first story except for Judge Pursuivant. Right, Judge Pursuivant is the only connecting line between these two stories, and this is absolutely an occult detective type story. The tone, the writing style of this story is much more of the weird variety, and perhaps maybe gothic. Right, it has much more of that feel. It's a slower paced, slightly quieter story, but I actually think it's really maybe even a little better for that. Initially, I wasn't sure if I thought that, but really going through and reading it and thinking about it, I really do feel like this might be a better example of his writing, and it's also a really great way to contrast the pulpier writing that we get in The Hairy One Shall Dance and this more studied detective-esque and gothic type story that we get here. Really great contrast, right? And to show how well he can do both types of writing. So, fantastic. So, what's this story about? Well, we have a down on our luck actor, Conant, and he is so down on his luck that he cannot afford a second hamburger. The true mark of a down on your luck actor. A former promoter has met him and is buying him a second hamburger, basically purchasing his soul in this case. To convince him to meet with a very interesting figure who happens to have a play. Could be a really great way for Conant to get back into acting. And in fact, one of the female leads in this play is a former flame of Conant's, Sigrid. And Sigrid and Conant had a falling out mostly due to Conant's insecurities at her greater success as an actress than his success as an actor. So, 2 hamburgers up now, Conant decides that he will go to this hotel room and talk to Varduk, who has in his possession a play that is a unknown play, work of drama, a black drama, if you will, of Lord Byron. Yes, the Lord Byron. Oh, yes, I know. You were thinking, is it really him? And it is. Varduk has employed Judge Pursuivant to come and verify that this is indeed written by Lord Byron's hand, because there's been a recent article in the news sort of saying, this is probably a forgery. So as Conant and Sigrid sort of shyly rekindle a little bit, maybe not even rekindle, just sort of reacquaint themselves with each other and greet each other, Judge Pursuivant arrives and inspects this text. And he finds that it is indeed written by Lord Byron himself. He has an example of Lord Byron's handwriting. Of course, we're neglecting to mention the rather strange figure of Varduk, whose I absolutely love the description, by the way, that Wellman gives him here, of his face being like a shroud on the wall, right? A very strange, very ghostly, or very unusual face, and how he sort of leans forward out of this dark room to introduce himself, and then sort of leans back in his desk, right, or from this desk, and this very mysterious and strange figure. He says that he was given this play by Lord Byron himself, which does not seem possible because at this point in the story, we are in the 1900s, right? Lord Byron has been gone for a while, for quite a while. But this man reveals that he is a descendant of Lord Byron, a hitherto unknown descendant, and that he has inherited this play. Judge Pursuivant, as I said, agrees that he says he will stake his reputation that this was written by Lord Byron himself. It is not a forgery. And with this knowledge, Vardak, I want to say Vonnegut, that's not right. Vardak employs these actors, Sigrid and Connet, and a couple other actors who are also present, employs them to come to his private residence that in a very rural area, and they will rehearse the play and put on a production out here, right? He has bought this house, this property, and had the lower level completely opened up to basically have it be a large enough space to perform a play. And they're going to have this play out here, right? And have everyone come in. So they're going to go out here and rehearse the play and then perform it. And I think there's some talk about how since Sigrid is such a well-known actress, that for a lesser actress, this may not be very successful, right? They would not get the draw that they need. But because of her success, it will be like a very exclusive event that people will come out all this way for and will pay for. So in that energy, they go to Vardak's house, and it is in a area of wood that the timbers have never been cut. After an initial rehearsal, where some rather unusual things happen, Vardak does tell his guests to not walk outside at night without a light. As a warning almost to Sigrid, whose small cabin is but 30 feet from the back door of the house. In fact, all the actors have cabins outside of the house that were specifically built for something just like this. Just such a good book, right? Really great development of this mystery. Really great example of an occult detective story. I just like seeing Wellman do this quieter writing that I've never got to see him. I mean, I guess I've seen a little bit of it in the Silver John series, but those are a little bit more vernacular, right? There's a slightly silliness to them, right? That I think is actually great. That might sound like that would detract from a Weird Tales thing, but I think in Wellman's case, it actually compounds it because it feels authentic and strange and slightly unbalancing, right? Here, this is much more of a traditional weird tale, I think, and it's great to see how skillfully Wellman writes this great story that's developed, this mystery that's slowly uncovered. There's a great, very brooding feel to some of the imagery that we get from Wellman, and also the setting of this remote house, right? And the slow unraveling that Judge Pursuivant and Connet do as to what is really going on with Vardak and this play that they're putting on, and some of the strange things that Vardak wants them to do. Just loved it. It was great. So good. Like I said, I really like the quieter writing here that we don't get very much, that I've not seen much of from Wellman. I should not say we don't get it. I like, too, that the connecting line between this story and the Harry One Shall Dance is Judge Pursuivant, who is kind of a minor character. He's a secondary character. Connet is our main character here, and Talbot is our main character in that werewolf story. Side note, and I kind of wanted this too, Talbot, right? Obviously, the Wolfman from the Universal movie, which comes after that story was published, right? The Harry One Shall Dance came out, and then it was I want to say it was 3 or 4 years later is when the Universal movie comes out. I find no mention. I didn't, just in a semi, not exactly a thorough search, but a bit of a search to see if the name Talbot had ever been used in connection with a werewolf or anything like that before, and I could not find evidence of it. I could not. There's plenty of stuff after the Universal movie, but there's not really anything that I found before that. Not that I didn't miss it. And some people did, in the comments, did sort of say, well, could this be the source? And I think that there's a pretty good case could be made for it. That you could say it's coincidence that the writer for the Wolfman movie used that name. You could say that, but I don't know. I feel like Wellman was a well-known pulpy writer, weird fiction writer. I don't know. There's really, and the Wolfman story too, we should remember, doesn't really have of the three big, well, it's one of the two universal monsters. It doesn't have a direct story that it was drawing from, right? Dracula and Frankenstein, obviously, Frankenstein's monster, I should say, draw directly from those books, but the Wolfman does not, and neither does the creature from the Black Lagoon that I know about. So, so could the writer of the Wolfman have drawn, at least sort of looked and said, "Oh, Talbot's a good name, a good name," and made that first name, Talbot Wills, right? Taking the first name from Talbot and made it John Talbot, I believe, in the Wolfman. Very likely. I think there's a very strong likelihood of that, right? Not exactly ripping off that story, because the stories don't have very much in common apart from that name, but it's kind of a cool little maybe so. I think there's some validity to that. Back to this story. Pursuivant is just a minor character in that story and in this story. Our main character is Talbot, and The Hairy One Shall Dance. Our main character in this story is Connet, the actor. I thought that was a cool idea, and I still think it's a cool idea. I think it's neat. I like the idea that this occult detective sort of wanders into our story, or sort of by circumstance, right? And you get this definite feel that he's done things before, right? He has this silver cane, this sword cane that's silver, and he's used it before, right? And I just love that we get this sort of like idea that he's had other mysteries that we don't know anything about and that he doesn't reveal. I just love it. Trying to think if there's anything else in my notes we need to talk about, because there probably is. Obviously, the supernatural elements in these stories are great and well done. Not following typical things. I want to say there was a moment where someone questioned what something was, and I think Judge Pursuivant had a really great response, saying, to why these creatures were attracted to certain things or people. I love that we get some reasoning as to what these supernatural creatures are that we encounter and what's going on, but that we don't get an explicit explanation of what they are, that they're left very mysterious. And that, again, Wellman knew what he was doing. A great, great, great hand there at maintaining the mystery even at the end. And of course, Varduk and this play that he wants to put on have some sinister things going on with them. I thought that it was a great ending to the story, and of course, this story being short didn't overstay its welcome, right? When it was done with itself, it was done. It didn't linger on, and we don't have this long aftermath. Great way to make the story good and succinct and short. As someone pointed out in the last video, a lot of Wellman's works are in the public domain. So I believe The Hairy One Shall Dance, and absolutely this story should be on like Project Gutenberg and probably the Internet Archive, right? For this one, it's Weird Tales in 1938, June, July, and August, a great summer, right? 1938 summer had a pretty good summer release, right? So you could, if you don't want to hunt those down, there's those options, right? Those things. And also on this, the LibriVox has LibriVox recordings, has the full audio for this, which is what I did for free on YouTube, right? You can go over there. It's actually a fantastic reading over there. So you can just go do that, 2 hours and 40 something minutes. Fantastic, right? Great way to sit back and relax and have a pleasant evening or two, depending on whatever it is you do. Maybe not even evening. Maybe you do this at work, right? Great way to go and enjoy that audiobook. The reading is actually very good. Definitely want to seek out the rest of these stories. I believe there's 2 more. I think the next one is something with rabbits. Whoa, what is it? It's a great, because someone says the title may not seem very, may seem a little silly, but it's actually a fantastic story. And so that has me intrigued. The Dreadful Rabbits. Ooh. It sounds cool. I love the idea. One of my favorite things in weird fiction and horror is when you take something that's seemingly silly or not scary and make it so, right? Absolutely. I love that flip. The flip is what you always think of it. I mean, this sort of thing where you say, ooh, could this be, this doesn't sound scary, and then it is made so. A really great example is Lovecraft's use of the meow, right? In the Whispers in the Dark, right? The Migao are a completely ridiculous thing when you hear about them. What is this? No. Okay, whatever. And then the story proper starts. You get into these things and you start experiencing the things that they're doing, and you start hearing about it, and yeah, you get a little freaked out, and I love it. So I'm looking forward to it. I feel that Wellman will definitely be able to do it. I'm interested to see too what tone the next one takes. Right, we had a pulpy story. Now we had a quieter, more gothic story. I have a feeling that we're going to stay a little bit more into the gothic era, because this is getting later into Wellman's writing career. I think there's 2 more. I may read those and have them come out in October, because I think there's an Occult Detective October thing going on. This is a great thing to do if you're interested in participating in that. I feel like these Judge Pursuivant stories are just a fantastic choice. So I may read these and then either schedule videos, or maybe I'll read one and then the last one will come in that. I'm not really sure how that'll work out, but I have a couple other obligations, right? We're still reading. Are you still reading Light at the End? Yes, we are. We're coming into the final moments. Right there at the end. It'll be, I think it'll be an interesting talk. I think we'll talk about it. We're going to save that discussion for where it belongs. Brian and Chris and I are still going to talk about Elizabeth Engstrom's Beauty Is story, and maybe Brian will give us his insights to When Darkness Loves Us, if he doesn't do it on his own channel, which he should. A friend of mine who I've had on the channel before, Dan Brigman, who's a writer, we talked a little bit about the Agents of Dreamland story by Caitlin Kiernan, and we talked a bit about that, and he expressed interest in those stories, and we decided that we're going to read the next 2 stories and talk about them together on here. Hopefully that will come before the end of October. I think that that's a very doable thing. I think on the Avram Davidson Universe podcast, Bob and I, hearing about Occult Detective October, have decided that we're going to try and read an Avram story by an Avram story for maybe the Dr. Esterhazy series, right? A sort of gaslight detective type story that has a supernatural slant, right? So we got lots of cool things coming up. Wait a minute, Virgil, you got anything on your own channel? Well, that's a good question. Anything on your own? I guess some of that's on my channel. I guess the Secret Society Red stuff, right? The Light at the End and the Beauty Is will probably be on here. And I think Chris, if he hasn't done it already, is going to do something too. But what about myself? What about me? Yeah, what about me? Me? Yeah. Okay. I probably want to make just recorded a deep dive with Chris for Liminal Spaces channel on the 4th Gene Wolf book. I do want to make a video about that. We kind of talked about maybe making a book tag. He goes, oh, that'd be a good book tag video. I'm like, yeah, I guess it would. So I might start a book tag video. I am free this weekend for a variety of reasons. So I'm going to try and schedule myself to record that, and it'll come out probably next week is what I'm thinking. If I can get Chris to hold up, right? A really interesting idea that's related to Gene Wolfe, right? I don't know if it'll become, I think it'll be a little both. I think it'll be a book tag video, and I think I'll just sort of also evolve it into something else, or maybe it'll be 2. We'll see. And then I've got a camera down video, another one I recorded, that on a book I've covered before, a comic I've covered before, I think is great. But I didn't give it really the attention that I felt it needed, or I never felt it got, that video never got the attention I felt it needed. And I think it's really great, and I really, really enjoy it. It's so weird. It's like I've thought about for years doing that and doing the camera down thing, and never did it, or did very, very little of it. And it feels so good to do it, because I have so many things that I want the camera to look at and record that way. And it's very exciting to me. Can you tell? I'm very excited about it. I really enjoy it. Thank you so much, by the way, anybody who watched that and kind of gave me a little bit of feedback as to if everything is okay. I need to frame, I think, my frame it a little bit better next time, right? The one that I did, I think, is much better framed. I haven't watched it yet, but I really enjoy it. There's just lots of books that I think I don't really want to just hold them up. I don't think that does them justice. and I don't think it's a very good experience as a viewer either. So I like the idea of like putting me in the corner of the video, right? I guess in this case, see, it's this corner for you. For me, it's the wrong corner, but for you, it's the right one. Put me in that corner, and then have the camera down on those books, and I think it's just such an exciting and fun thing to do. I really enjoy doing it. Yeah. Oh, and you know what? That is true. And then I'm wrapping these things up, but I do have a review that I want to do for two kind of horror reviews. One for this fantastic novel that I discovered called The Unholy Three or The Terrible Three, depending on, I guess, the publication, whose writer, right on my head, doesn't matter. I've actually picked up an old pulp magazine for that and started reading it, not expecting very much to happen, and was just blown away. Like, that's not an exaggeration. I'm reading this going, whoa, this is way too good. I can't believe how good this is. It's really a fantastic story. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to do that, finish that up, and we're going to talk about it and do a review on it. It's amazing. It really is. I'm kind of like, whew, yeah. Although that maybe to some degree maybe explains why the copies of it, if you're trying to find an old publication, are outrageous, because they are. And then also continuing to read through and want to finish up the short story collection by Hubie Cave of Morgenstern. I did a review for the title story, the titular story, that's how we should say it. Did a review for that, but reading through the rest of those stories, oh, they're good. Oh, they're really good. I really like them. Man, there's just so many good things, right? So lots of shorter things in my reading right now, getting all this cool short stuff read up, right? I say this and I'm thinking, my goodness, are you sure about that? Yeah, that sounds so bad, right? Especially since like the Caitlin Kiernan books, like those are like novellas, right? Most of this is like novella length or short stories, so not too bad. Even this, not The Terrible Three, is not a really particularly long story, but my goodness, I was like, whew, I needed to stop, and I just want to say one more thing. Like, that's not a new story, and it is intense. And that magazine I picked up has some absolutely amazing artwork in it. I was like, whoa. And that's exactly what I said. And when it comes time, you'll say the same thing. I'm going to do a camera down one on that. That'll be the first camera down, like, true review I'm going to be doing, right? We'll flip through the whole magazine that I've got, right? It is not in great shape, but I think it was worth every single penny that I spent. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe helps. There's a support link if you're interested. Please go check out the stuff that I do over on Liminal Spaces. We do Literally Liminal, and I also did a bunch of Gene Wolfe reading over there with Chris. By the way, that's awesome. It's like so damn fun. Anyways, we'll save that for a video. There's that. And of course, Bob from Wheel of Genre and I are over there doing all this great stuff. I'm going to say it's great stuff on the Avram Davidson Universe podcast, right? So many great discussions happening over there. So many great things. And if you're someone who listens to BookTube on at work, maybe like as something in the background, almost every single one of the videos on that channel has the full audio for a book in there. Bob and I just trying to do some different stuff over there, right? I think there's so many great things over there, and we're just trying to get people to try Avram and having a good time, having fun discussions over there. Very silly sometimes, and I think it's great energy, right? And also, if you're over there, think about going to Wheel of Genre with Bob and Zach. They're reading all the stories in that giant Jeff Vandermeer and Anne Vandermeer collection of Weird Tales. Whoa, that is so good. Damn, it is good. I'm telling you, it's super good. Go buy that book, right? I've got it. I'm not going to go get it because this is like a recorded video. You don't get up in your own video, okay? I don't care what anybody tells me. I don't want to edit. I'm already going to have to edit. I know I am. But they're going through all the stories in that, and it's fantastic. It really is. Definitely go check them out. Not to mention all of my other BookTube buddies. By the way, all of you, I want to tell anybody who's watching this who's got a BookTube channel, stop it. Stop it right now. You're making good stuff, and it's really ticking me off because I don't have time to watch it, right? I don't have time to watch it. So many damn good things are happening. The Show Me Your Dolls thing is so much fun, right? I almost wish I had more dollars so I could do another one, but I don't. I do have to do the rest of that library. By the way, I won't let myself put these books away until I do the book haul for them, and there is too many freaking books over here, so that needs to happen too. That's all for now. Was it? That's it. Thank you very much. Bye. Like a real weird. Bye. Goodbye. It's very serene. Yeah. You gotta leave you in a good mood, right? You gotta leave you like, not only be all like stirred up and weird. Like, no, we gotta. Thank you very much. Bye. That was good. I liked it. Yeah. It's great. Okay. Well, we're done.